Yeah.
But how did you get into that whole field anyways? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to my life story. So when I was young, I grew up in Cypress, California, very middle class, nice neighborhood. My dad was a bail bondsman, and he ran an air tool supply company. So my grandparents were bail bondsmen too.
Okay.
My dad was a bounty hunter. And so we lived a really good life. My dad was in the Vietnam War, and about when I was 12, my dad developed a really bad drinking problem. He was drinking like 40 beers a day, 3 packs of cigarettes, running the business out of our house. And so my parents got divorced. And when that happened, we went from like the kids in the neighborhood that kind of, had the nicest gloves and baseball or the nicest bats or all the nicer things we never struggled with to all of a sudden, okay, money's an issue because my dad moved out. My mom was trying to keep, I have 3 brothers, trying to keep 4 boys in the house and keep us in the house. So the struggle was real. I watched her working 3 jobs, wasn't around as much because she couldn't. And so we kind of fended for ourselves. So I started running a poker ring out of my house. I started gambling. I worked at the racetrack when I was 15 selling programs, and I was hustling. That's when I learned to hustle.
Yeah.
So I was a paper route boy. Then I started selling the Orange County Register door to door. When I was 14, I broke the record in Orange County and won a trip to Hawaii from my mom. I was kind of competing with a bunch of 16 to 18-year-old kids. This lady would come by in a little Bronco van, pick us up and drop us off in a housing complex, apartments, and we'd sell door to door the register for $7 a month. And I was just a grinder. I sold better than all of these kids. And the reason I sold was I had to make my own money at this point. I didn't want to ask my mom for money anymore, for anything. And it's small money. I was 14 years old. But to win this prize of being the top sales kid in Orange County really made me feel something like, okay, I can accomplish the world, even though it was something so small. So when that happened, it parlayed my hustle into the poker ring. Then I started taking sports bets. Then I started selling weed out of a gas station. I worked at Chevron when I was 16 or 15 and a half. And all these little hustles, I started making really good money at like 15, 16 years old. And next thing you know, at 16, I had a big baseball card collection. I was hustling in that too. I'd go around the neighborhood and kids, I was delivering the newspaper, selling it, whatever. I'd say, hey, you have baseball cards? And I said, yeah. And I figured out Ken Griffey Jr. rookies, Mark McGuire's were all the value. So I'd bring like a pack of commons, which are, if you don't know what that is, it's basically the worst players in the league. They're worth 3 to 5 cents. And I'd trade them. I'd say, I'll give you this whole box for these 8 cards.
That's almost like I used to do with comic books. Bullshit comics for like universe or whatever, like #1. Give me like X-Men #1 for...
Because you knew the value of the real ones, right?
Yeah.
And, it's hustling them. I mean, let's be real, but I did it all day. So at 16, I bought my own truck. It was like $3,700. I'll never forget it. It was a green Mazda truck. And all the other kids, either their parents had to buy them a car or they couldn't get a car, right? So I bought my truck with my baseball card collection.
Wow.
And then I started working for Norm Johnson, the kicker for the Seattle Seahawks. And a guy named Jim Weir was a baseball pitcher. They opened a baseball card shop in Garden Grove, California. So I had all these hustles going. I was going to these baseball card, memorabilia things. I was selling my cards. I was booking bets, selling weed, anything I can to make money, right? 18 years old in high school, my mom catches me, scale, all the pounds of weed, kicks me out of the house, right? So I'm 18. I go move out with my girlfriend who was 15 when we met, who became my wife. And we moved out in a local apartment. Then I had to get a real job because now I got bills and responsibilities, and everyone else kind of moved on with their life to graduate high school. So I started working at the airport and for Massimo Clothing Company. So I worked these 2 jobs, 6 to 2 and 2:30 to 10. And it was miserable. I was working, I was making nothing. And just to pay the rent for the apartment, and on the weekends I go to the racetrack and gamble because I love gambling, right? And of course I still bet in sports with bookies, but I really didn't have much of a business anymore because I was 18 and didn't have any money to book. So booking bets, and you can't book bets if you don't have money.
Yeah.
So I was still booking $50 wagers, $100 bets, but it was just enough to pay ancillary bills and feed my gambling addiction. So fast forward, all of a sudden my ex-wife, 18 years old, gets pregnant. And here I am, this kid doesn't even, I can't even figure my own self out. I'm going to have a baby. So we decided to move in with my mom, who lost our home. She moved to Dana Point into a trailer park, Big Hurt. So you talk about this, we were kind of the rich kids in the neighborhood. Now I'm living in a 2-bedroom, double-wide mobile home in Dana Point, California on the couch. Because my little brother has a room and my mom has a room. And he's in high school. So living on the couch, my girl's pregnant. And I said, I got to fucking grow up, man. So I go to the local restaurant and I get a job. They won't hire me as a waiter because I have no experience. So I quit these other 2 jobs to take a job that I thought would waiters at least make decent money, you know, for a young kid. So they give me a job as the busboy. And the GM, I'm like, yeah, why won't you let me be a waiter? And he's like, you have no experience, kid. I said, all right. So I had to take it, right? So I take this job. I'm busting tables. I'm making more money than the waiters. Because when people are coming in, even though I'm serving chips and salsa, it was a Mexican restaurant. And I was degrading to me because I was like this white kid, like serving with all these Mexicans, and they don't even speak English hardly. And I'm over here like just trying to hustle. So I built relationships with all of a sudden, some of the customers would come in and ask to sit in my section. And the manager had to tell people, he doesn't have a section, he's a busboy. But they requested, so he realized, like, okay, this kid actually should be a waiter. By the time he wanted me to be a waiter, I got a job opportunity from this customer that came in, him and his wife. And he says to me, do you want a job? You know, you're amazing, like your personality, whatever. I said, sure, I'll take it. And he goes, you don't even know what it is. I said, I don't give a fuck what it is. Just get me the fuck out of here. So I drive my $400 beater, that has a hole in the bottom of it, down to Irvine, California. I pull up to this place. There's Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Mercedes, you name it. I was like, what the fuck is this place? I get in there, hour and a half grueling interview. It's a commodity brokerage firm. And he just breaks me down like a bitch. And he tells me that, what are you doing with your life? You're 18. You've never even been to college. Like, you work at this is the same guy who was just coming in and treating me like, cool, right?
Wow.
And I'm like, you serve chips and salsa? I mean, he's degrading me. So finally, after about like an hour, I went through the degrading and I said, look, man, I said, either you're going to hire me and you realize that what I'm telling you, that I will be the best employee you have here, or you're just going to tell me I'm a loser the next 30 minutes. But at the end of the day, like, I'm 18. I haven't had a chance to develop my life yet. So I kind of stood up to him and he really, appreciated it. So one more interview later, he gives me the job. It's $1,200 a month. I'm working 60 hours a week at this commodity firm. Had to go out and buy a cheap suit and tie at Marshall's, and I was broke. So I started working this job, and I learned that these guys are making $500,000, $600,000 a year, and they're 25 to 40-year-old men, some older, but mostly that age range. They're blowing all their money on drugs, gambling, hookers. I mean, it was basically the movie Wolf of Wall Street, but legal, okay?
Boiler room?
100%. So I'm like, this is exciting, man. I love the feel of this money. So I started booking a little bit of bets again because, I didn't have much money. So, but, they kind of saw I had some gamble in me. And long story short, what happens was there's no internet then. The phone calls would come in. I would be the guy that would patch the phone call to the broker.
Yeah.
And you have a system where you patch them in, the call goes through, and instead of hanging up, I would mute it on the headphones and listen to the phone call. It's like all this sales training. I was already a good sales guy.
Yeah.
And so I learned what the hell they were doing, what commodities were, soybeans, pork bellies, movie with Eddie Murphy, Trading Places. And so I start studying for the exam, Series 3 license. I go to the owner. I said, listen, I want to take the exam. He's like, you're not even a broker, assistant broker. You can't take the exam. You don't even know what the hell this is. You're the mail guy. You answer the phones.
Yeah.
I said, I tell you what, if I don't pass the test, you fire me. I'll put my job on the line. He's like, kid, I'm not doing it. It costs $450. I said, listen, man. I hand him the flashcards. I said, ask me a question from the exam. Because I have all the flashcards. I was ready. He pops off like 3. I answered them all. He's like, all right, I see you're serious. All right. It's $450. You're willing to risk your job? I said, I sure am. So luckily, I don't think he really fired me, but gives me an opportunity. I go pass the exam. I'm 19 years old. He says, you know what, kid? You're hungry, man. I'm going to give you an opportunity. Let's train somebody for your spot. I'm going to put you with one of the brokers. So we do that. Like 3 months go by. Puts me in with the top broker. The guy makes $1 million a year. Now I'm running this top brokers. We're number one in the firm for about 8 months to a year. I worked my way up, and it gives me a job opportunity to be my own broker. I became the number one retail broker in the world. At 21 years old, I bought my parents' house that they lost.
Wow, bought it back, right?
Yeah, bought it back, and now I was booking real bets because these guys are making real money, and I had money. So now I'm taking $5,000 bets. Keep in mind, this is 30 years ago. $5,000.
So it's your own. You're taking these bets in your own action.
I am. I'm taking all the bets in the office now.
Wow.
I got real people who make real money making real bets. So I start making $500,000 to $600,000 a year or more legally, and then I start making more than that illegally. by taking the bets at the office. So now I'm the office bookie, right? And then it just builds. I just built my business. So now I'm going to Vegas because I'm a 21-year-old kid making a lot of money, fucking gambling high. I was, just firing away. I have a baby who's now, 3 years old. Then I had another kid, and, I'm married and all these things, and, I paid for my own wedding. Everything was great about this big house. And I'm kind of like running this rat race where I was with my high school sweetheart. She's amazing, but I wasn't really in love with her. I have 3 kids with her now, and I'm building this bookie business, right? So at 30 years old, I walked away from the business. Well, in that time period, right around 28, I bought my own brokerage firm, sold it to my brother, and I shut it down because I was making so much booking at 30 and gambling at the highest levels in the world. I said, I don't even need to work legally anymore.
Wow.
So that's when I started firing $1 million, $2 million through casinos and gambling at the highest level. So at that time, I was literally flying about every 2 weeks to Vegas on a private jet.
Damn,
walking
like
into these
20-something?
villas. Yeah, they're about 29, 30 years
Okay.
old. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can imagine, now I'm single, making some serious cheddar.
Man, yeah.
And so the lifestyle was through the roof. And that's when I was at the Palms Casino with all the celebrities and the Hugh Hefner Villas, Sky Suites, gambled at the Playboy Club. I mean, we did it all. You got Bone Thugs and Harmony having me on stage with them. I mean, it was a great lifestyle. And I was booking bets bigger than you can imagine. But the problem is my ego got so high, I started taking bets I couldn't afford. And I ran into a jackpot. I took $5.7 million in losses, which, when you're 29, 30 years old.
How were you paying them out?
I had the cheddar for a while, then I ran out. I pulled every dollar. I bought a home, another home. I pulled all the equity out of my property, and I had to borrow money to pay off the 5.7. They broke me.
Wow.
I had 3 billionaires betting with me.
3 billionaires?
3 billionaires. Well, it's one family.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just tell you this. I don't disclose their name, but they owned a very professional, franchise. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were betting about $400,000 to $600,000 a game.
Damn.
And they loved Tom Brady because they were friends with him. And that was the year he went 14-2. The year before he went 16-0. He went 14-2, but he crushed me that year by Patriots and over every game. They just covered the spread and crushed me.
Yeah, because the fourth quarter they would just come back the comeback crew.
And they just won every week, and they bet them every week. So I would lose $600,000 a week on Patriots alone. So anyway, I ran out of money. They busted me. I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta pay. And not only that, I don't have any money to book anymore. So I had to go to this operation in Costa Rica and sell them on taking over my business and giving me a split where I get 50%. Let me borrow the amount I owed was $440. Let me borrow the $440 to pay the customers. I'll move all my business to you. So I did that. I moved them all over. They agreed to that. Of course, they're looking at this great business. They're going to make 50% of it. Why not?
Yeah.
I borrow the $440 and move them over. About 2 weeks go by, and I'm like, fuck this, man. I fucking built this business. Now these guys are getting half of it. So I decided to take a little chance, like an idiot. Made a poor decision that worked out. And the billionaire players, I opened an account for them. I said, yeah, these are the same guys. And I fired away, and I won $1.3 million betting. It was actually
betting under the auspice that there was a billionaire that was really you?
Correct. I just fucking went for it. I could, if I lost $1 million, I didn't have it.
Yeah.
Clearly. So I got lucky. I won it was like 1.38, 1.4. And the moral of the story is I owed them $440,000. So Sunday night, I get a phone call from Costa Rica. This is like 2 weeks into doing business with them. They said, we need you to come out to Costa Rica, kid. I said, oh, fuck. Okay. Get on a plane, Taka Airlines. I fly out to Costa Rica. Their operation was like in the forest. Most of the sports books are in the city. Mm-hmm. They were very private because you have to be very careful over there. Americans that are in the bookmaking business, one guy just got shot and killed named Tony and ran 5 dimes. They ransacked him and held him up for his Bitcoin. They killed him. So they all have private security. I mean, they're rich. They have big mansions there. So when I get there, there's 3 partners. They sit me down in a room. When you pull up, they have guys with shotguns, for protection. They kind of try to intimidate me a little bit. I sit down and, they're trying to make me sweat, come clean. I said, we know this is you. I said, that wasn't me. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, that bad.
Yeah, all the bets, because I did it for like a week straight of bets. And they said, well, these billionaires that you claim are betting in the account, they don't live in California. This is coming, they checked the IP address. This says it's coming from where you live. I said, well, it was. I had to think quick. I said, well, these bets are coming from you. How the fuck are you putting these bets? Why are you putting them in for them? I said, I don't know. Maybe they're at the game and they called me. I mean, I was their friend, so I was putting bets in for them. They're like, that's bullshit. They're like, these are your fucking bets. They're trying to get me to crack, and own it. I just said, look, man, I'm not going to sit here and fucking be chastised by you guys. Either you got 3 options. You can take me out in the field and fucking shoot me. You can not pay me, and I'll ruin your reputation and tell everybody that you guys don't pay. Or you can pay me. It's up to you, but I'm done with this shit, man. So these 3 guys are arguing amongst each other. One's like, just fucking pay the kid. Let's just fucking be done with him. The other guy's like, fuck this kid. I'm not paying him shit. And then the other guy's still trying to chastise me. I said, I'm fucking done. I stood up. Fuck you guys. I'm out of here, man. So the third guy, who's the nice one, drives me back to the airport. I book a flight. I go home. He says, when you land, call me. We're gonna talk about what we're gonna do. I don't know how we're gonna handle this. I'm like, you guys do what you got to do. And he's trying, as we drive back to the airport, to kind of coerce me to just come clean because he's the nice guy. I didn't, which they were right. I was definitely scamming them. Let's be real. I land. I'll never forget it. I call this number when I land. I get off on Hawthorne Boulevard. I pull into it's like 10 at night. I pull into like a Target parking lot. Some guy pulls up, hands me a bag. It's like $980,000. It says, we're done with you. Lose our number.
Damn.
Take all your clients back.
Wow.
The party's over. I was like, wow, thank fucking God.
Cash, just like that.
$980 in cash. Now I can start booking again on my own. I have my players back. It was like the dream scenario. Bad move that worked out, truly.
Yeah, because it could have been all south.
I would have owed these guys $1 million bucks.
God.
I would have been crying the blues, giving them a fucking sob story, not knowing what to say. And they probably would have kept all my clients. Let's be real. I mean, I had access to the phone numbers, but now they do too. They're calling their office, placing wagers in online betting. So I'm like, I can't do that ever again, man. Taking bets over your head is something I learned.
Dude, you sound like the guy from Uncut Gem.
Oh, that's a good, that movie is, man,
Bro,
Anxiety
that movie
City.
has you like, God, this guy, man. My wife can't. She said, I'm too stressed out watching this.
That is actually one of the biggest anxiety movies I've ever seen. I thought it was a terrible gambling movie. Terrible in a sense that they don't really show the real side of betting and all that, but it showed a great side of anxiety and what people go through. And that's been my life. I put myself in those shoes many times. I tell people all the time, I'm no angel, man. When a guy owes me money and can't pay, I've been that guy. So how could I talk shit on him? Just do the right thing. That's all you could ask him to do. But I've been that guy.
Yeah.
Owen and I met that way.